4 years ago, the nation was captivated by a young woman named Kate Bush, whose first single, Wuthering Heights, quickly went to #1 and established her as a major visual as well as recording artist. Kate had a string of hit singles. Her most recent album, Never Forever, went to #1, and she was one of the nation's top live attractions. But we haven't seen her live in 3 years. Now, for those of you who may be wondering what you have been missing, or for those of you who have been missing Kate Bush in concert, let's look at her from the Hammersmith Odeon performing Wuthering Heights. Well, Kate, I enjoyed your live show, and I've been wondering why we haven't had the chance to see you in concert lately.
Oh, great, thank you. Well, really, the problem is I've been working on the next 2 albums since that show, and in many ways that show was the visualization of the first 2 albums. So before I could do another show, I needed another 2 albums to make it completely different again.
I remember thinking as I attended that gig that I hoped you wouldn't have a deep intake of breath, because the microphone was only about an inch from your mouth. Did you worry about that?
Yes, I had to be very careful about not saying things that I shouldn't when I was turned on and everyone could hear me. And I also had to breathe quite quietly, otherwise, there'd be this sort of really loud so I had to be very careful about the moments when I wasn't singing, yeah.
Were you surprised at the quick acceptance you won in this country with the first single going to #1, and also the way you became instant fodder for parody of artists who tried to duplicate the Wuthering Heights video?
I think it's wonderful, actually, how warmly I was received by the English people. And I think especially then, because there was very little going on with the female artists, for instance. At that time, there was probably only Blondie and myself that were sort of happening. So, yes, I was very surprised at the way I was accepted, and very, very grateful for it, because, of course, it's that acceptance that has made all that I'm doing now possible.
I do notice, of course, that we've missed singles from you coming at the rate that they used to. Are you aware when there is a gap? Are you afraid, oh, people might be forgetting me?
Yes, very scared indeed. And I think there's just this pressure on you that when you're not in the public eye, that perhaps they'll forget you. But I think in many ways people say how fickle the public are, but I don't think that they really are in a lot of ways. I think if they like something, then they are willing to wait for it, which is beautiful. It's wonderful.
You do seem to be taking ever more control of the reins of your career. You've always had the prime input, but on your current album, you are the writer, the vocalist, the keyboard player, the producer, and the arranger.
Yeah.
Now, this is very much a personal vision. Are you afraid that by not bouncing off too many other people, you might lose touch with the audience?
Yes, I think that does scare me, but it doesn't worry me at the moment, because although I'm taking control of a lot of things, I'm still working with other people. You always depend on the other people in the team that are very much a part of what you're doing. And I think hopefully if you work with people that are honest enough, you can rely still on their feedback and let their ideas in and out, and hopefully not suffer from too much indulgence. But of course it's a problem, yeah.
When we did a radio program for Christmas for Radio 1 about your favorite records, I'm sure that many people were surprised to hear how few conventional pop tunes were in there. You had a lot of Irish folk melodies, African songs, songs with unusual instruments. And I therefore thought that when you really did take full control of your career, there would be a lot of various surprises for people, which they may not find actually commercial. And I think that's what happened on the latest single, The Dreaming, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's not really a commercial song at all. And I think that's rather lovely that you could see, from that program that we did, perhaps the direction I was going in. And from my point of view, that program was fantastic to get, all those songs played.
I recall you had some whaling songs, so I'm waiting for your number about Orca Killer.
Yeah, sea shanties would be great. But I think that's the problem too, because the direction I'm going in with my art is the way I want to go, because for me, it's a little bit deeper, it's got more meaning, it's not so poppy, I suppose. But of course, maybe that won't be so widely accepted, especially in the singles chart, where it seems that things do have to be obvious, really, to stand a good chance of getting places.
I think a lot of the tracks on your new album are so intense and deep, with a lot of various sources of input, but it's difficult to hear on the radio, catchy the first time. For example, on The Dreaming, you had Ralph Harris with his didgeridoo, and you had Percy Edwards doing the animal voices, and very complex lyrics and a change of voices on your part. And I think that probably was the problem.
Yes, I think it was a very complicated single in many ways. It was demanding as much from the audience as anything, that, you know, they would give the time to listen to it and try to understand it. So many people said to me that by the 5th, 6th time that they'd heard the song, that they were actually starting to really like it. And before then, they just hadn't understood it at all. So, yeah.
Yes, I think the lack of accessibility and instant commerciality are going to be a problem with some of the tracks. Some people may be wondering, for example, on the cover of the album, The Dreaming, what you are doing with a little gold key in your mouth.
Yes.
Is this a reference to Gold Key comics, or what?
Well, it's really to do with the song Houdini, which is on the album. And the song is written from Mrs. Houdini's point of view. And what was rather beautiful was she used to help him a lot with his tricks. And one of the things that she would do before he went off into his tank or to jump into the sea or whatever it was, she would pass him a tiny key with a kiss before she left him and he went off. And when he was then in the water, he would use the key to unlock the padlocks. So in many ways, by passing that key, she was keeping an eye on his life, making sure that he would be safe, that he would come out again.
Many of your tracks you have been writing from the point of view of a third person, not yourself or a lover. For example, in the one which is going to be a single, There Goes a Tenor, you take the perspective of a bank robber in a bank robbery that goes wrong. We're about to see a video of this done with some members of your group and a couple of members of your dance troupe. There Goes a Tenor.
You bleiben the same up.
There Goes a Tenor from the album The Dreaming, and I think that will be a hit, actually. It's got a lot of that oompa.
Really?
Yes, I think that's...
I don't know anymore.
No. But when you write these songs from the perspective of others, such as the unsuccessful bank robber, do you wait for an inspiration for yourself, or do you accept ideas from others? Hey, Kate, why don't you write a song about?
I think very rarely people have ever said, you know, hey, why don't you write a song about? But all the time people are just saying things that have happened to them, or, you know, feelings, things they're worried about. And I think all the time, ones that move me, that hit me, sometime later come out in a song, just because I think anything that moves me sufficiently or interests me sufficiently acts as inspiration.
You have suggested that it took 2 albums to make up the material for your first tour. Now that you have had 2 further albums, can we say that there will be another tour?
I very much hope so. I mean, now is the time, really, the first time I've had to seriously sit and think about another show. And at the moment, I'm obviously trying to be the salesman for my album as much as I can. After having spent such a long time, I can't just let it go. So by the end of this year, I'll be able to sit down and start thinking about when we can do it and how to start conquering the problems, because it's going to be really difficult to put this into a live situation, but I think it could be good.
Well, we all look forward to seeing you again on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Kate Bush.
Thank you.
Ist jetzt